Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are back with Allie Ryan. Excited to be here with her as a parent coach for the professional badass. That's right. Our CEO, Allie Ryan, is joining us here today live from AllieRyanCoaching.com. And of course, that's the website. We urge you to go there. We're excited to talk more to her about her background as a licensed nurse, LGBTQ mentor, elder advocate, feminist, so much more. Let me have her introduce herself. How are you?
I'm great, Jill. How are you today?
I'm good. It's a Monday. It feels good though, because the sun's finally out here in New York. What about you?
Oh, that's wonderful. It's a little, it's kind of dreary in Colorado, which is a little different than usual, but I'm happy to be here with you today.
Same here. Great to occupy space and talk about stuff that's, I think, good for everyone. But tell us a little bit about your background first and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I spent my first 15 years of my career doing elder and hospice care work, really focused on helping folks move from that end of life and helping families really navigate those really tough waters that we don't often talk about, stuff that we really do not approach until it happens. And so that really shifted really my approach to how we talk about family dynamics and how we help families and support them, which has really launched into my business of helping parents figure out how to be less stressed and maintain their sanity while raising kids and working. Because let's face it, most of us are working while raising kids these days.
Hence leads to our overwhelm, our stress, and what do you call it?
Yes. Well, I mean, I call it a lot of things, but generally we just think we hate our life, right? A lot of times it turns into just this overwhelm, this guilt, this resentfulness that we feel that we actually take out on other people. And I think it's so common. We don't actually know that a lot of those feelings come from within us. It's so easy to blame other people for the way we feel. And so the work that I do really helps people understand not only what is contributing to their stress, but also how to step into this place where they can be more accountable for their own feelings and accountable for their life. And when people realize that they have choice and autonomy in those ways, they're actually able to start shifting the way that they approach a lot of the world, starting with their home, starting with their family and their work.
And that leads to the mom guilt factor of today's show, which we're going to get to.
Yeah,
Right?
it's a thing that we struggle with a lot, where we just think like having guilt is just like actually a big part of being a parent. And I want to just say, like, our feelings are very valid, but we don't actually have to believe them, right? So the guilt that comes alongside is almost this idea of we're supposed to be doing something different than we are, but we don't always have to believe that that story is actually true. But yeah, I think it's a really good thing to talk about mom guilt today.
And we all have it, which I love. By the way, I know you are into unlearning perfectionism, releasing resentment, redesigning your life, and that's what she can help you with her one-on-one coaching. Parents, I know you're burnt out, you're stressed out, but she's here to help us all one-on-one, and also you do group coaching too, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that's a lot of what I do is these problems that we often have. Perfectionism, setting such high standards for ourselves, resentment, and also really helping you and like redesign your life. And what I mean by that is we are not the same person after we have kids. And I think that we really struggle with that. Like our identities do shift, and a lot of times they shift completely to our kids, which actually isn't the answer either, right? Like we are still a person. I'm a,
Yeah.
you are
But
still
it's
a
sometimes so hard because you lose yourself and you put everyone else first, but they say you're not supposed to. But it's like how you're juggling everything. And it's, yeah, I miss my old self at times. And then I realized, no, I don't. But then I do. And it's like, where's the happy medium here? How do we get both benefits of being us and being a great mom all in one, but we also have to be great to ourselves.
Right. Well, and I like how you said, something that you really stuck out to me is like we're trying to balance everything. And I think that's such a product of the society that tells us that
Yeah.
we can't do everything. Just because we can't do everything doesn't mean we're supposed to, you know? Like I think a lot of that is almost this societal standard that I kind of want to like smash a little bit, which is what happened to delegating? Like what happened to teamwork?
Yep.
What happened to collaboration? Like I don't know if I
Mhm.
love this idea of being a superwoman. It's kind of exhausting.
It sure is. Yep. Uh-huh.
So yes, this thing about mom guilt, one thing that I think about is the three reasons. Why do we experience mom guilt? The first one is unrealistic expectations. The second one is we get really stuck in compare and despair. And the self-sacrifice culture that I think is almost viewed as like a good thing. Like we just talked about, like we almost are proud that we put everyone else first. But I think that's more of a cultural norm that I don't know if I actually really support very much.
Well, it's how do you suggest people go about this? And then it's like, wait, I don't have enough time for myself, let alone my kids, let alone how's someone going to help me coach to get through it? Where am I going to make the time and fit it in, right?
No, well, and that's first like to when you
Mm,
said a lot of it is overwhelm, right? We
that's
jump
the
into
word.
we jump into I don't have time. And so that's part of it is like the things that we tell ourselves the most interesting things. We actually have a lot more time than we think. Think of how much time we spend on this thing, right? Think of how much time we spend,
Yeah.
right? Just the things that we do.
And
And
the
so I think it's
phones and yep.
yeah, I mean, we get addicted to being busy. I think as parents, we get addicted to almost the stress. But we don't I don't talk about it that way. What I talk about is we're
Okay.
addicted to being busy. We love to be busy. So how do we go about it? Well, I think first thing is recognizing that mom guilt is optional. And I think where that goes is allowing yourself to recognize your own limitations, right? Mom does not equal superhero. Mom does not equal superhuman. We're still a human that still have our limitations. And it's okay to actually say that, like, what if we're a little bit more honest about how we
Yeah.
feel? No one is perfect, and it's okay to make mistakes. Like, we can let go of that and embrace some self-compassion there.
Mm. Mom guilt. I have a lot of it. Yeah, I do. I guilty.
Yeah, yeah, totally. So the second thing is challenging the societal norms. I mean, we need to question and challenge these expectations of motherhood. Really, we get to define our success on our own terms and not on what society or our boss or what everyone around us
Family
is.
members say.
This is a huge thing.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And even our own parents. I mean, I think that we often are really doing things so that we don't feel judgment from other people, but we're feeling our judgment. We're judging ourselves no matter what. So some strategies, I have some strategies to share.
Tell us how we can get through this, please.
All right. So the first thing is cultivating some self-compassion. I think that
Okay.
it's sort of a cliche thing, but really what I view as self-compassion is it's just a different way to say, I understand what you're going through. And I think that offering that to ourselves is just treating yourself with kindness and understanding, just like you would do with a close friend facing similar challenges. Self-compassion doesn't mean we give ourselves a total out. It just says, I understand you're going through a lot. That's all it is.
Sometimes
The
you
next
need
thing is
those
setting some
encouraging
boundaries.
words. Yes. Oh, boundaries. Yes. How do we do that without coming across rude sometimes to people? This is where I struggle with boundaries 100%.
Coming across as rude.
Yeah, like, trying to tell people like, well, for it's with my sister. I have an issue with my sister because she doesn't understand that I have so much going on as a single mom. I have two kids and she has a husband. So we always argue over. She's like, well, I do it and I do it. And I'm just like, okay, Jan, I'm like, that's great. You could do it. You also have a husband. I don't. So it's only just the three of us. And she always comments like if I went to get my nails done, you have time to get your nails done? I'm like, well, I bring the kids mostly. I'm like, it's not like you. So she's always judging me in a sense. And I feel like I wish I had a boundary to keep her out of those things, but sometimes I can't help it.
Yeah. Well, okay. So here's a couple things that I want to say. First thing is when we hear what other people say, oftentimes we're so quick to make it mean something about us. What would it
Mm.
be like if you let her say something and just let it be her, it's her saying it. It doesn't mean anything about you.
So don't react to it. Don't comment on it. Just sit back and absorb it.
No, 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 no absorbing it.
Oh,
Let's
okay, okay.
Yeah. I like to say this. First of all, when someone says something to you, is it about you or not about you? Maybe her saying it is about you, but is it true?
Yeah.
And so
No,
I think
not
the
all the time.
no.
Okay. So how do you judge that, especially when it comes to family? That's a whole nother issue.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I think that this is family dynamics are very tricky, right? I think that's just something to keep in mind here, which is why I love doing what I do because nothing happens in a vacuum, right? We're all interconnected. But what I would say for your situation is knowing, like recognizing that judgment that you might feel from her is probably actually coming from yourself. You're probably judging yourself for what you're doing. What if it was okay that you ain't got your nails done because you like taking care of yourself? What if it was okay that you brought your kids to do something? Like, what if like actually that was okay? And her response was more of a reflection of her experience had nothing to do with you.
Well, I never had time to do my nails and I never went out and I never had a babysitter. I get it. Yeah, that's what she says. So it's more about than her own issues with those types of things, maybe, than me in particular.
Yeah, exactly. It almost allows us to look at what people are saying as if it's a reflection more of them rather than about us, because it rarely has anything to do with us.
Good way of looking at it. I never looked at it that way. Thank you.
Of
Hmm.
course, of course. Listen,
Sorry
let me
to
see.
interrupt with my issue. Go ahead.
No, I think
Thanks
this
for
is so good
helping.
though. No, I think this is so good and so important to look at actually how does this work, right? Because I think it can be so easy, especially with coaching. People often not might not know what coaching is about, but I think bringing it to like, wait, what do we actually go through on a daily basis? And what are those day-to-day engagements or conversations that really actually kind of bug us? Like that's the really I love actually that you brought that up because the reality is you don't have to make it mean anything about you. Like, what if people could say things and it actually had nothing to do with you? I just think it's a phenomenal thing to just take on because it's like there's a lot of freedom that opens up.
Yeah, there is. All right, all right. Okay, what else is on the agenda? What do we have for the
Yeah,
next?
well, I really want to offer like the strategies to dropping mom guilt. So
That's the word.
cultivating self.
Strategies. I forgot. Yes, the
That's
strategies. What are
okay.
they?
Yeah, so cultivating self-compassion and really just the first thing with that is just allowing it to be, I understand that you're going through a lot. It doesn't have to be anything more than that. The second one is the setting boundaries. And really, what that means is just choosing like what you do for yourself. I think people often think boundaries are a way to keep people further away. Boundaries are how we get to connection. But in its most easiest definition, is this is where what I do for me, this is how I take care of myself. And the third one is practicing some mindfulness. And what I mean by that is even just deep breathing, giving yourself 30 seconds, 10 seconds even, and just take a deep breath, shake our shoulders out, let it out, is a mini form of mindfulness. And listen, I'm a busy single parent too, so I understand what it's like to not have a lot of time, but that breath, I tell you, is a really great thing that we have with us all the time. And those little activities, whether it's sitting outside or even just looking outside for a couple minutes, what it does is it lets us just feel a little bit of calm, right? And amidst this hustle bustle society that we're in, finding those little moments of calm are actually really important for us, especially as busy parents.
And when someone talks about practicing mindfulness, so could you give us some examples? How do you do that? How do you slow down, become more aware? Can you just give me some examples of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing that I like to do, and I practice this with my clients all the time, is just counting into four. It's called box breathing. So breathing into four. One, two, three, four, holding for four, and then releasing for four. Right. So it's called box breathing because four corners. One, two, three, four, hold for four, and release for four, with the emphasis on going as slow as you can on the out breath, because that is what actually taps into your nervous system. And I won't get all brain nerdy with you because that's actually part of why I love what I do is like we have ways that we can really calm ourselves. And so it taps into a part of our nervous system that actually helps us feel calm. And so when we're actually able to calm down a little bit, be in our bodies just a little bit, and touch into a little bit of calm, we're actually able to make very different decisions and actually able to see things from a very different perspective because we're no longer in the guilt mode. We're not in fear mode. We're not in angry or overwhelmed. We're just probably back into a place of a little bit more self-control and feeling like things are actually okay. Because usually they are. Usually we're not in emergency. If we are in emergency, different situation. But oftentimes we're responding as if things are emergencies. We don't have to do that. We do not. That is all optional.
All right. Thank you for that. And also, could you remind us how we can reach out to you?
Absolutely. AliRyanCoaching.com, ALIRYAN coaching.com. I have an amazing quiz that people can take, and that's really easy. AliRyanCoaching.com/quiz takes you right to that quiz to determine if you hate your kids, which let me just say, it's tongue in cheek. No one
I
actually
love
hates
it.
their kids,
Hmm.
but we actually have a lot of behaviors that kind of make us wonder, like the way that we talk about them, the way that we act. We're actually just really angry and probably resentful because we're not setting the boundaries that we need to. And so that
Hmm.
quiz is a really easy, it takes really only like 30 seconds. Some really fun questions in there just to determine like which areas of parenting are you struggling with? Is it the boundaries? Is it doing too much for your kids? Is it control? Is it, stuck in judgment? Is it fear of the future? There's a lot. This parenting thing is a lot of responsibility, and we take a lot of it on. And we have to remember that like our kids are people too. And they actually have some ideas about how they want to be a part of this parenting thing as well. Like, not that we have to, of course, they're not the parent, they're the child, but they actually they have some ideas about what they want as well. And so that quiz is just a really great and easy way to, again, get a hold of me, look at the areas that you might be struggling with, and decide
Hmm.
how you want to move forward. And that's what I'm here for, doing things on purpose with this part of our brain that actually plans and can be centered and can think ahead, right? Because oftentimes we're parenting from the fear part of our brain because we kind of live in a
I'm
fear-based.
afraid. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Yeah.
Hey, welcome to
Mhm.
the club. This is why I think coaching is so great, is that helps us to tap into our mind here and help us do things. Helps us get out of autopilot, I think is the best way to put it. We get out of autopilot, we decide how we want to do things on purpose.
And how old are your kids again, by the way?
17, 15, and 10.
Oof. Wow. That's a
Yeah,
lot.
it's fun.
Yeah.
It is fun, fun, fun over here.
Oh
Actually,
my goodness. I could
quite a challenge.
imagine.
Yeah,
I,
having a kid that's almost graduating high school, it's a really interesting time for sure.
oh no, then the stress of the college applications or the future plans, and then, oh, all that, the first job, right? Oh, the
All the
driving. Oh,
all the things that come with it. Yeah. And even him deciding that he wants to do things in a different way than I had planned for him. Right. And letting
interesting.
it be that, like, actually, it's his life. It's like he's going to be 18 in a couple months. He
Hmm.
actually has a lot of say here. Right. And learning how to balance that is something that I love to help parents do because after kids are about 10 years old, they really need more of a mentor. They need more of a coach. They don't need us controlling everything they do. They need us helping them with practical skills to become a productive member of society. But that actually shifts how we're parenting because we're not parenting as if they're little babies that need everything from us. So this job, it's quite the journey. It's what I call it. It's not a race, it's a marathon.
Sure is. I love it. Do I hate my kids? Check it out. Allie Ryan Coaching. You're also on social media too, right?
Yep, I'm mostly on Instagram, and my handle is the same at Ali_Ryan_coaching. I like to keep all my names super consistent so you can find me easily. If you type in my name, ALIRYAN, you'll find me in multiple spots online.
Could you share some of the experiences you've had with your clients and like how you're actually working with them and some of the aha moments they get from this type of coaching?
Yes, I would love to share a testimonial with you. I actually have
Sure.
a few of those pulled up because I think that is really helpful. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
find this real quick. So here is a really good one. Allie helped me at a point in my life when I needed the push to give myself permission to do what was right for me. I didn't even realize how many ways wasn't advocating for myself and how I was limiting my vision of what my life could be. I feel a confidence and self-assurance that I didn't know I could have. I'm giving myself permission to live the life that I want. Oh, that's so cool.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, here's another one. Allie has such a calm and commanding sense of presence. Well, that's sweet. I don't feel embarrassed or shame when I share personal things with her because she is so accepting of everything while also challenging me in a loving way. I was burnt out every day, all day. And I mean, I was mean and grumpy because I was so tapped out from parenting. Allie truly understands what I'm going through as a parent, unlike anyone I've ever talked to before. Allie helped me see that burnout was really coming from the amount of guilt I was feeling from parenting because I was constantly telling myself that I'm a bad mom for even feeling this way, which actually reminds me like the secondary shame that we often feel from feeling like we're a failure as a parent or that we don't like our kids very much, we don't like their behavior, or we feel guilty. There's that secondary shame that comes online.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually what makes it so challenging. We kind of dig ourselves in this negative like spiral, right? We dig ourselves this little
Yeah.
that makes it really hard to even be honest with ourselves about what's going on because there's so much shame around it. And that's what I love helping people do. It's just let's examine what's really going on without the judgment, without the shame, without those extra emotions, so that we can actually look at how we can solve for what's happening. 'Cause so often there's really easy solutions. We just sometimes need help looking at a different perspective. Um,
Mm.
but really, what I love helping parents do, especially moms, is helping them see that they get to be the kind of mom that they want to be, right? So often we have these ideas, whether it's societal, especially this culture we're in of like very social media, this specific idea of what it looks like, this aesthetic. And the reality is that most people are miserable trying to reach this, to be this certain type of person that they're actually not. And so to
Mm-hmm.
help them open up to they get to just be who they want to be and parent in ways that really feel aligned to them, it just opens up a really beautiful world for my clients that they just actually get to start embracing who they are instead of hiding who they don't want to be. You know, they just get to be who they are, which like what a wonderful gift.
Well, yeah, like my biggest challenge is like I would have to say, I don't know if it's the mornings, trying to get them out the door. The breakfast goes okay, but then no one wants to brush their teeth, get up, and the stress of trying to miss the bus and out the door. That chaos is not good for any of us. And then I guess it happens same after school with the homework situation that they don't want to do the homework or they're frustrated and I'm trying to make dinner, we're trying to rush to a sport or to religion. And it's just like that I want to solve. And I don't know how to handle it because I find myself yelling and screaming, which I'm sure a lot of parents do. And I don't
Yes.
know what to do because it's the same pattern every day. How do you break those types of patterns?
Yeah, well, I think first it starts with looking at like for you, you recognize you don't like the yelling, you don't like the screaming. Same with my clients. That's often what shows like that's the part that they're really tired of. They're tired of yelling and screaming because what actually like we see, because I have struggled with this too, it doesn't help anything, right? Actually, what it does is it creates that disconnection, and now we feel like crap because we get lost our patience with our kid again. So a lot of times what it looks like, and I'll take the mornings, for example. For you, what I'm sensing is, like you said, every day, the same thing over and over again. And what I want to offer is like, what if we could choose our battles? And what if there was like, what is the one thing that you want them to make sure and do? What if it doesn't have to be all of those things that you're needing? What is the most important thing that you want from them in the morning?
I want them to simply put their shoes on time and get out the door
Okay. All
on
right.
time, not the feeling of 8:25, the bus is going to be here. Why aren't your shoes on? Why aren't your socks on?
Yeah.
And
And
I
so
try my best, and now I put their socks on for them. I'm enabling them, and I'm like during the morning, but I still have to beg to get their teeth brushed. It's like, why can't they do it themselves? What do I need to change to make them do these things more
yeah,
independently?
your kids are a little younger, right?
7 and 9.
7 and 9. Yeah. So this is where natural consequences really start to come online, right? We want their kids, we want our kids' teeth to be brushed because if they're not, right, even with clean clothes, if they're not, what will other people say? What will other parents say or what will the teacher say? But a lot of times kids kids learn from natural consequences. If they show up and someone like says like your teeth, some doesn't smell right, they learn more from that than ever from us really harping on them. So that's one of the person that
Hmm.
comes to mind.
Now I'm like, who can I set up on the block that can say, "Oh, your breath smells one day," if I don't let them, and I have to set, I have to stage an intervention. Sorry. Because at that age, I don't know if the kids get close enough to talk or if any kid would say that. So I'm gonna have to have, okay, a neighborhood kid say,
It's getting close to that time. But I
yeah,
think the other thing is just what if you could do the same thing and it didn't equal you being upset? Like what about it makes you get so upset? right? There's something there. And usually it's what we make it mean about ourselves as a parent. If you can't get your kids out the door on time, there's some judgment there. What are you telling yourself as a parent?
I'm failing. This is horrible. No one's listening. I'm not doing this right. Why can't they just go? I don't know. I don't know what it is, to be honest. I don't.
Yeah, no, I mean, you mentioned really what parents often tell themselves, which is I'm failing as a parent. And what if just because they don't get their socks on, what if that doesn't mean anything as a parent? That means you just have a very normal kid who might be struggling in the morning.
Yeah, true.
So it's sort of shifting some of these expectations that we have of ourselves and of our kids, but really just looking at what we're telling ourselves. If they don't do this thing the exact way that we need to, we're a terrible parent. And this is what I really help my clients break down is like, what if that actually has nothing to do with you being a terrible parent? What if they're being a totally typical kid and you're a great parent? And some days they don't get their socks on. They're probably going to be really uncomfortable that day. They might not ever do that again.
True. Yeah. Yeah. Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Let them go as is.
Yeah. I mean, the number of days I let some of my kids just go to school with messy hair because they didn't want to brush it. Okay. All right.
Then they get made fun of for their hair. That happens. Yes, I know that.
Right. Sometimes it's like, yeah, maybe it doesn't mean we're a terrible parent. Maybe it means we're a very typical parent, actually taking on a lot.
Got it. And get rid of that mom guilt, which is, of course, the focus of today's show. And we're out of time. Allie Ryan, AllieRyanCoaching.com. How can we connect with you for that connection call, you call it, right?
Yes. So many places. Find me online, find me on my website. I've got a button right at the top that says schedule a connection call. Hop on my email list. You put in your email address to get my freebie. Stay on top of knowing the offerings that I have, the workshops that I'm doing, the group coaching, the one-on-ones. Find out all different kinds of ways that I'm working with folks in person and online on my website, AllieRyanCoaching.com, and on Instagram at Allie Ryan Coaching.
Good. Thank you so much. Best of luck with your 3. And thank you for the advice today. And looking forward to talking again. And great seeing you. Don't forget to take that freebie quiz, everyone. Do I hate my kids? Yeah. Click right there on the website, AllieRyanCoaching.com. And by the way, it's ALI RyanCoaching.com. Just to let you know, there's no LNY, right? It's Allie. ALI. Thank you so much.
RYAN. Thanks, Jill.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.